All right, so I'd like to say welcome to the Sales Revolution. I'm Ingrid Maynard, founder and managing director of The Sales Doctor. I'm here today with Jodie Hawkes, who is the CEO of Bowhill Engineering. Now, welcome, Jodie.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Before we get down to our conversation, walk me and the listeners through the 21-year journey to get you to where you are today.
Well, that's a long time ago, isn't it? And I never thought I'd be a CEO of an engineering company when I was leaving school. I thought that I'd be in law or real estate. It's so crazy how life's journey takes us places that we never expected. For me, I was a finance and business manager working at a local high school. And then 21 years ago, my brother Simon, my brother-in-law Simon, was killed in a motor vehicle accident. He was our best friend, but he was also Jeremy, my husband's business partner. So I was on maternity leave with our first child, and from that point, I gave up my leave and stood by my husband's side, determined to do whatever was needed to help the business survive. And so survive we did, but treading water for a long time is really, really hard. So around 10 years ago, we decided that surviving was too hard and that it was time to thrive. So making this conscious decision to thrive has changed us. So I've worked my way through all the non-operational sides of the business as we've grown. I started with admin and finance, and then I moved on to quality, IT, marketing, compliance, projects, leadership, and now for the last few months I've been the CEO. So yeah, that's a bit about my journey.
I love how you just sort of skimmed over that last bit there. I had no idea that that's how you arrived in the business. And I love the way that you said that, you stood by your husband's side. That's incredible.
Yeah. Been doing a lot of reflecting on that recently, and it was a very, very hard time in our lives, but a lot of people go through crisis and trauma, and it's what defines you. It's what happens on the other side of that, and how you react to that is who it really defines you to be. And there's so many positives that have come out from such a tragic event.
Well, we're going to talk about a few of those positives, Jodie, because the reason that I wanted to, and I'm so grateful that you agreed to be, a guest here on the podcast, is because of the incredible way that you do business. Because for me, when I heard about some of your story, and I didn't even know that backstory, I was just intrigued, and I just thought, gosh, how can I sit this woman down for a coffee? And I know how busy you are, so I had to create a podcast just to get you here. So, but look, when I was doing some research and prep for this session, I was obviously going through your website, and dare I say that Bowhill Engineering speaks the language of sales, and the reason I say this is because your website's positioned in such a magnificent way that it says to your customer base, we give you an advantage. I mean, I think that they're the very words that are used, and it does this over and over again on the landing page especially, and I'm just going to quote from that.
Yep.
Because I think that this is significant. Remember that we're talking about an engineering firm here. So in an increasingly competitive and high-stakes infrastructure game, you need a bidding edge. So already talking about the advantage that you bring, and you're talking directly to your customer. I love it. A supplier who partners with you, not just takes your order. I mean, this to me is speaking my language. This is someone who truly understands that business is all about delivering value for the customer. Has Bowhill Engineering always been like this, or what's been the journey to speaking this kind of language and thinking about your clients in this manner?
Good question. I guess it was part of our positioning statement when we decided that we wanted to transform from survive to thrive. Look, we had been doing it tough, and we chose that we wanted to thrive, so we got some consultants in and helped us go through what our differentiators are, what makes us unique in our industry. And so I guess, yes, we've always been like this, but working through our Thrive proposal made us realise that these things are what these things are and actively promote them. So we landed on 4 core competencies, and this is what we call our value proposition. And the wording that we used is smarter together, win before you start, complexity done excellently, and committed to the community. Now, to go a bit deeper into those things, smarter together means about design optimization, methodology development. We partner with our clients and we're going to work through efficiency initiatives with them. It's so much easier than just taking an order and doing that order as the client says, because we've got years of industry experience that know what works and what doesn't work. It's as simple as moving a bolt or a hole just 10 mils to the left or the right to make it an easier weld for our staff on the workshop floor, or the length of a girder so that it would fit on a truck to be transported. Those small changes that mean nothing in an office mean the world to us in the methodology development.
Yeah.
The next one is cost with certainty. So the win before you start is about cost with certainty, and that's because we can control the end-to-end processes. So we start from the design and we finish with the installation. So we cost in the variations that others don't, and we want to have our client with no surprises. So again, sometimes it feels like we're giving away a bit of our IP, but we're totally saying, have you considered this? We think this will be an extra cost, just so that they can compare apple with apple tenders, and we're not overpriced, but we've priced everything in. The third part, complexity done excellently, is about systems and process refinement, and that is me. I'm OCD when it comes to this space. This is what I do best. It's about seeing what's being done, documenting it, getting others to check it, and making sure that we build everyone up to be an A grader. And then the fourth one, committed to our community, is about strengthening our region. It's just part of our DNA. We've always done it, and we always will do it. So, yeah.
Well, I want to come into that, committed to our community, because that's the bit that really fascinated me from day dot. But I want to come back to something that you said before, because what I'm finding at the moment is that organisations everywhere have people that are really have become order takers. I even had a conversation earlier this week with somebody who said, we want our team to be genuine salespeople. We want them to be able to create opportunity out there. We want them to be able to, find and establish a need with and through their customers, not just, sit there ready to take an order. What's the difference, do you think, in not just in what you do, but how you do what you do, in order to create that stickiness that's required to really create a customer base that is a partner, as opposed to somebody that, just gives you an order to fulfill?
Yeah. You've used the term mutual mattering to me, and I hadn't heard of that before. But I love it. I love it. So I guess we work on 4 core values, and we induct and train and undertake performance reviews with our staff based on these four pillars or 4 values. And they're integrity, collaborative, courageous, and unity. And so last year we did remove those words and just kept their meanings, because we found that there was too much interpretation within the definitions within our staff. So integrity, the definition behind it was, we do what we say we're going to do. So that's internally with our staff, but it's also externally with our clients and our suppliers. I said earlier, no surprises. Communication early is the key. Nip issues in the bud quickly. That is the basis of our sales methodology as well. We don't see people as salespeople. We see them as building a relationship. Clients are like old friends. What problem do you have? How do we work together to get to solve these things together? So that's the second one of collaborative. We get things done together. No handballing, no walking past thinking it's not my issue. It's based on the theory that none of us is smarter than all of us. And, that is so true with any collaboration that you have with the client and our suppliers. If we can get them all in the room together and work through the issues, I think you come out with a better answer. The next one,
incredible. Before you move on to the next one, Jodie, because this is fundamental to the mattering model. And when I talk about that mutual mattering, I'm talking about everyone in the organisation becoming that having because everyone in the organisation has a customer. Whether it's an internal customer or an external customer,
Yep.
Whenever there's that exchange of value, that person really needs to make sure that they're delivering that value, that they're delivering beyond the expectations of the other stakeholder.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is if we start to treat everyone like a customer that matters to us because they do, then we start to really create magnetism, because we as the organisation, Bowhill Engineering, and you're talking that language, you're talking about that whole of organisation. We all, everyone, not just the team over here, not just the project team, not just the tender team, not just the marketing team, not just whoever it might be over here, but the whole organisation and the strength of the organisation to your client organisation. So that's the bit. So when you become as important to them as they are to you, that's where you have that mutual mattering. That's what I talk about there.
Yep.
So how do you do that? I don't mean to break your stride, but this is the bit that really is rich to me, because when you have an organisation where everyone gets your values and lives them, they're not just phrases up on the wall, like you said, or definitions, they live that. And their behaviour towards your customers is a certain way. How do you do that? How have you done that?
It's so funny because you stopped me in the middle of our 4 values, and the second 2 values, the last 2 values actually work and answer those questions perfectly.
It's like I knew, but I didn't.
No, you didn't. You didn't. So that courageous wording means we work smarter. And what that means is that we do have great systems and processes.
Right.
We believe it's our IP, and we leverage this to ensure we're always improving and evolving. So information isn't kept in people's heads. It's captured, it's documented, it's trained amongst the team to ensure that everyone can become A-graders. So when we're working with our clients, we're taking them through our playbook of our best practice. So we're not missing out on little bits and pieces. We're training everyone to follow the same process. I had a lot of pushback on that to begin with. That's not applicable, it's different for this industry. We don't follow this plan, but we do, and it's really been working for us. And then that last part, which wraps all this together, which is exactly what you said, it's the same as the mutual mattering. The unity to us is we help our clients win, because if our clients win, we win. If we win, our suppliers win. If our suppliers are winning, our staff are winning. So we want to have the reputation that clients are like old friends, and I think we've got that in very many cases of the projects I've worked on. Doesn't always happen, but we definitely strive towards that.
That's easier said than done.
Yeah.
So Jodie, just tell us about your clients, because when you say that, we want our clients to feel like they're old friends, we might be thinking about, 1 or 2 people, but you have massive partnerships with your clients. Walk us through just some examples of who your client base is.
So it's interesting. We don't have a huge number of clients as in the companies, but within those companies we have multiple touch points. Right. So we're working with partners like John Holland, Seymour White, BMD, McMahon's, McConnell Dow, Badge, Oz Minerals, all the big guys. It's and then within that you're dealing with engineers, project managers, contract managers, auditors, compliance. It's huge. Finance people.
So when you've got multiple touch points over there in your client businesses, and I would imagine then you've got multiple touch points internally that, have those relationships over there.
Yep.
You said before that there was a little bit of pushback around, that doesn't apply over here and that doesn't apply over here. How do you, in just being practical, I know you've got it captured everywhere.
Yep.
But so do a lot of businesses. Knowing something and doing something and doing something well consistently is very, very different. So how does that actually, how is it done? How is it communicated? How is it done? What does it look like? How does it how does it work with a client when you've got an engagement?
Yeah, that's a question that I could go down a wormhole and talk for hours on. It is
Okay.
something that I'm actually really passionate about and working on deeply at the moment.
Yes.
So to me, it's all about having clear expectations and having accountability to those expectations. So we're working on a model called Face and Pace, which is function and process accountability. And basically we're documenting all, just like we've got our procedures, but we're documenting all the clear steps that people need to take. But then we've taken it to a next step where we traffic light their accountability in that space on a monthly basis to make sure that things aren't dropping off our list. And it's as simple as, you might go have a coffee with someone and hear about a whole heap of information, but then you just go back about to your day job the next day and forget about that great conversation you had the day before. So we add into our process accountability, have you done a debrief on that? Have you captured the gold from that, and what are you doing about it? It's the same as if you go to a training session. You hear all this information and it's great, but then you go back to work the next day and catch up on your emails. So how do we capture those gold moments from that training? And we do that by sharing it with someone else within our team and then creating what's the one takeaway that we're going to do in that space, and we document it.
Yeah, and then there's that accountability.
Yeah.
I find that that's the most important point for any kind of behavioural implementation, and then any kind of reinforcement of that behaviour, because without that accountability point, human beings are just like you said, you're just, going through the motions. It's really exciting at the time, but then we get back on to what it is that we've done before. So that's...
I've found that, I heard that 98% of our day is automated and we just go about the same things. We don't have to think about having breakfast or brushing our teeth. Those things just come naturally to us. And so we're trying to create rhythms within our workplace, so a meeting rhythm, and those rhythms are set up around the key areas that we need people to be working in the business. And so we're building those rhythms to be like, that is the rhythm. It just happens. It's not hard work. We don't have to remember to go back to it. And that is very good at building that accountability. But the second part is making sure those expectations are clear. So if you've got multiple people responsible for someone, then no one's accountable. So it's really identifying whose role is what and making it very clear. And if there are more fingers in the pie than one, breaking that role down until we get clarity. Yeah.
Wow. I'm just making some notes here.
Yeah.
I love that word rhythm too.
Yeah.
I just find that's
we have a rhythm
really...
and we have a pulse. So we have a rhythm around our meetings, but we have a pulse around our culture, and we take scores every month from our staff. We have an all-staff monthly, and we ask them, how are we going with our leadership, with our communication and with our culture, and that becomes our Bowhill pulse. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. Well, that tells me that you got a heartbeat too, which is, I mean, most organisations do. They just don't. They haven't either unearthed it yet, or they haven't articulated it quite like you have.
Yeah.
So I want to now double down on the committed to the community aspect for a moment, because this is outstanding. This is the bit that really, when I first heard you speak at that Deloitte breakfast at Tech, a year ago, really, I thought I just really would love to talk to you, and I'm just fascinated by organisations like yours. Your staff are part of the community, and I would say, in a way, you're bringing the community into the organisation. So what does that look like in practice? How does it work? And more importantly, how has it transformed the organisation and its relationships with those stakeholders, and in turn, those stakeholders have with the organisation?
Yep. It's my favourite question. It's easy. It's so easy. I live and breathe it. It's about our purpose, and our purpose is together we thrive. And these aren't just words to me, they mean so much more. It was based upon 3 pillars before we'd done our Survive to Thrive campaign, and those 3 pillars were security for our family and staff, because we never want to go back to survival mode. It was about having a healthy work-life balance, because we know life is short, and Jeremy and I saw early that we don't want this business to consume us. We're here for our family, and the reason we all go to work is because of our families, so they need to come first. So sometimes it's hard to find a good balance, and some weeks are worse than others, and you know, but we try to keep it front of mind at all times for both ourselves and our staff. And then the third pillar, which is the best part of that, which answers your question, is committed to our community. So Together We Thrive has those three pillars, and that third part is committed to our community. And this is my favourite because Boweng has been doing so well in the past few years. It's why we're able to commit more and more time here. So we start to give back to our community and help our community thrive. So when we induct staff, we tell them that our community isn't limited to Boweng or its staff or where they live. It's our whole region. It's where our kids go to school. It's where they play sport. And whatever cause is important to them, it's important to us. So I guess over the years, we've supported a variety of projects, from building structures for sports clubs like light towers or coaches box or electronic scoreboards, or we've supported personal causes like SIDS for Kids, the Cancer Council, Movember and Beyond Blue. You know, they're pretty hard causes, and they've been because we've had incidences within our business that directly are related to our staff. We've also won some wonderful grants for our community. We project managed the rebuilding of our community centre after it was destroyed by fire. We got a 30 kilowatt solar installed for our community centre and our Bowhill General Store. We're currently the Australia Post Office depot for our local community to keep it operating in our small town.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's crazy. We supply the water to our community centre. We have our gardener help with the upkeep and maintenance. I've done the books for over 25 years, and my husband's been on the CFS for just as long. We've launched a community energy portal called the People's Grid, which
tell us about that.
So this locks in competitive electricity rates, and it shares renewable energy within our region. So it's enabled us to have the goal of being 100% renewable by 2028, but it's also bringing in our community to the benefits. So it's another win-win solution. And for me, the last one, but certainly not least, for me personally, I've been on the Regional Development Board of the Murraylands and Riverland for the past 6 years, and the last 3 years I've been honoured as being the chair of our board. So here I'm working towards regional and economic priorities such as an infrastructure prioritisation. I'm getting to contribute to building resilience and wellbeing within our region. It's what fills my cup. It's so rewarding. It's hard, but it's rewarding.
Well, it is, but again, so you've taken some stuff that's happened to you and to your husband, to the business, and you've let that inform you in a really positive way, and you've made some decisions about how you want to be as an organisation in a community. And I would argue that that is the role of an organisation, is to have that layer between it, that it's kind of indefinable where the organisation begins and ends with the community, because you know we rely so much on them, they rely so much on us, and particularly when we get into regional areas it's even more so. But the thing that really strikes me here is you're constantly looking at ways to ask. So you're not saying this is what we're going to do and there's no marketing appeal here. This is really genuine, practical stuff that the community needs because it's told you that it needs that. And so you step up and into that. And the other thing that really strikes me here is there's no virtue signalling around this. What it is you know that you're an engineering firm, and so it makes sense to be on the regional planning committee around infrastructure. That's absolutely in your wheelhouse. You're not trying to go out into other areas. So all of that to me really resonates, and I think that it comes back to that centerpiece of, again, mattering. Like you take you out of the community. I would hate to think of that. I'm sure most of the community members would hate to think of that as well.
Oh, it's way bigger than me. There's a lot of us on our team that are very similar.
Absolutely.
So it's our business as a whole,
Yes. And you think about, because you've involved every person, you've asked them what matters to them, what causes are dear to their hearts, and then seeing how you can support that. Everyone feels a part of that. This is what I'm talking about with a magnetic organisation. This is why you've got the momentum that you have, you've got the retention that you have, you've got the innovation that you have, you've got the commitment that you have, because you keep on thinking of ways in which, because you're engaging with your people, engaging with the community, you're thinking of ways to continue to deliver value.
Absolutely.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Thank you.
So finally, Jodie, if everyone at Bowhill Engineering has your customers at the heart of their decision-making, process development, treated one another like customers who matter, because they do, I mean, I really think that you're already doing that. What does that look like on, I mean, we've kind of talked about, you know, that on an external basis. What does that look like internally for internal customers?
Good question. So our utopia of Together We Thrive, the win-win-win scenario, it doesn't matter if it's clients, suppliers and employees alike. So it isn't having one at the expense of another. And so when you say what does that look like internally, we all need to be thriving, because you know, if you look at a business that's doing everything that the employers want at the cost of customer service, well then that's not going to work for very long, is it? Or if we're screwing our suppliers, they're not going to want to supply to us. So it has to be all of us together. And you know, we've certainly had this in lots of our projects, and to some extent sometimes we've taken how easy it is for us to be like this, to take it for granted. But it does take time to build the trust and have the collaborative approach, and lots of our clients and lots of our employees haven't worked that way before, and you know, they're there with a bit of caution. You know, for us a handshake deal is a handshake deal, but for others that value doesn't sit there. So I guess when we get to that point, there's always been a better overall project success, because we haven't burned our bridges or our networks along the way, and you know, everyone's better off. I guess the next step is to strengthen those relationships to the next level. So Husbands Jeremy's just taken on the Director of Business Development full time, because we're growing and we know how important it is for us to focus on our sales pipeline and developing these key networks and relationships. It's really early days for him, and we've had some wins, which keeps us going, and at other times it gets tough. But that's so the nature of business, isn't it? You know, the ups and downs, and it's building resilience to help us get through the tough times, so we'll be there for the next glory days. Yeah,
exactly. Next 21 years, Jodie.
No, I need to have grandchildren and do a lot more in my life, a lot more travel, I hope.
Fantastic. Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm just absolutely delighted that you've been so generous with your time today. I'd really like to say thank you very much. For me, the title of this episode is Together We Thrive, Win-Win-Win, because I think that you're describing exactly what I'm trying to encapsulate in some of my modelling, and certainly with my mutual mattering philosophy. Jodie, I really want to say thank you, and I can't wait to hear more about what do you call it?
Boweng for Bowhill Engineering. Boweng.
Yeah. A little bit like some of those Hollywood nicknames for the couples, isn't it? Boweng.
Boweng.
No, that's absolutely outstanding, and Boweng is in excellent hands with you at the helm. So thank you so much for your time.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Ingrid.
Thank you.